Hey, I'm Stroup, and today we're going to fix a tongue and groove floor that's uneven. So watch this video, you be the handyman. First things first, you have to decide which board you want to take out. Preferably try to take out just one board. Here, I'm going to take the lowest board out, which is going to be this one right here. I'm going to put an X on it so I don't forget where it's at. I'm going to come back as far as I need to come back. What you're looking for on the floor is where the nails are, because those nails are normally in the floor joist. So I want to cut it right above that nail. If I have to pull the nail out, I will, but I can go to either side of it. That way when I put the other board down, it's resting on a floor joist. Okay, there's a lot of things you can buy out there. You can buy those leveling lasers. You can buy a big 6-foot level. But if I take a board and go from one end to the other, it shows me where my gap is here. So I'm just taking a pencil and I'm etching under the board to draw myself a line to see where I want to bring the floor up to. So I can get rid of this board. Now I have my line here. So after I pull the center board out, I bring all the other boards up even to that line, and it gives me a straight level line right across there. It's sort of my guide. Okay, so you see there's nails in here? Now the hard part is how do you pull these nails out sometime? There's a thing called a cat's claw, which digs into the wood. Don't bother with that. With a nail like this that you're not going to have to pull out, but you want it out of the way, just take your punch and drive that nail straight down all the way through the board. That way you can pull the board out. That nail's gone. So instead of digging it out and going through all that trouble and racking your knuckles, just drive the nail straight down and then we'll pull the board out that way. Two more over here. Okay, I've drawn a line right across where I think the floor joist is based on this nail in the floor. Problem is getting the saw blade in there and cutting that without damaging boards on both sides. This tool, it's a right angle oscillating tool, is perfect for this kind of cuts. As a matter of fact, if you don't have one of these, you're probably doing causing yourself a lot more work than you need to. I'm going to show you how this baby works. Now if you look right here, I left this nail on that side of the line because when I cut this board off, this board is going to end here, the new board is going to come and end here. But they're both going to rest right on this floor joist that runs through here. That way when I'm done, I can nail this board down on this side and this new board down on this side. So let me cut this out right now with what, like I said, this right angle oscillating tool. It's awesome, but it's loud. I'm going to point out the beauty of this tool. Look at that. You take that tool and run it right up to the edge of the other board and never touch the other board. Now I haven't finished cutting all the way through, but that's the kind of stuff that excites people like me. Alright, just finished this cut and look how small that seam is right there. Because remember, this is going to be a finished product. That seam is actually smaller than some of these seams in the floor. Hang on. But now I'm going to take a saw and I'm going to rip all the way down this board because I want to pull that board out without breaking the tongue and the groove on both sides of the boards. In other words, like this. I can't just pull it up. So I split the board in the middle, then I can pull it up and pull it away on both sides. But for that, I'm using the big boy saw because I really just want to run a line straight through there. If you've never adjusted the depth of the circular saw, I'm going to show you how to do that now. Right on the back of the saw is a thumb latch. Pull the thumb latch up or down depending on the saw and adjust the depth. Now watch the depth of this saw. That's the blade that's going to cut. From here down it's going to cut. I only want to cut a little more than 3/4. So I push the guard down. I measure from the guard to the bottom. That's about 1 inch. I'm going to take it down a little bit further. Now why don't you want to cut too far? You don't want to cut the structural board underneath, and heaven forbid you don't want to accidentally cut any wiring or plumbing that might be in there. So I'm just going just past the thickness of the board, which I know to be 3/4 of an inch, and then I run that saw straight up the middle. Okay, I'm going to draw a line straight down the middle, but these are some fast tips, right? The line needs to be in the middle, but it doesn't have to be perfect. So how do I make sure the line's in the center? This thing's a couple inches wide. Take it and I put it against the edge of one of the boards. I draw the line. And I know the board's consistent all the way down, so I push this down, I keep it against the edge of the board, and I finish drawing the line. Without any fancy dancy measuring or double deuce down, winner take all, I just drew a line down the center by using this. The thickness of this is my guide. Alright, I used to live by the motto, if you can't be careful, you better be quick. Well, I'm not quite as quick as I used to be, so I'm a little more careful. Eyes and ears. Now if you notice how I'm doing this, I'm starting the saw right in the center of the board. You got to be careful on this because what you're going to do is you're going to start the saw and you're going to drop it down onto the cut. I can't start on the end, obviously, so I'm going to take the saw, get as close as I can to the wall, crank it up, and drop it right onto the line, carefully. The circular saw doesn't go all the way in, so I just took the oscillating saw and ran the cut all the way in. And you can see the board's already wanting to come up, so it's probably already separated. Let's see how it works. Okay, so I finished this cut, and I can look at this board and see that this is the male end, and I'll show you the difference there. Male end, this is called the male end. This is called the female end. And that's going to be important later because that's how we're going to put the board back also. Male end, female end. This is why tongue and groove is so effective, but it's also why it's hard to take up once you get it in. So I'm going to show you how to fix that. Okay, pull the male end out, pull the female end out. And if you look here, you may have some residual on both ends left over, and you just got to be careful to pull all that out and get it nice and clean before you start back. Okay, so we want to take this piece out. So the first thing I did, I cut the end off right where I wanted it. I cut it over a truss so I can have a nail on this end and the nail on the new piece that I put in. Then I had to split it down the middle so I can pull it out, because even though that end's cut, I still can't pull it out because of the tongue and the groove, often referred to as the male and the female end. Once I cut it down the middle, I split it and I just pulled it out like this. Now I'm going to put it back. Obviously, I can't split the board and put it back the same way. So I'm going to show you how to do it so you don't have to split the board and you can put it back and everybody's going to love you. Alright, so once again, we had a real low spot on the floor. We had to get this piece out to replace it, to raise it. But more importantly, what we wanted to do is, after we got this piece out, the reason we took this piece out, I should say, is so that we could shim the floor and bring it up level with the rest of the floor. So we took this piece out, cut it in half, removed it, and we shoved shims under all the way to one end here so that we could level the floor out. That's the only reason we took that piece of wood out. It wasn't rotten, there wasn't any hole in it that we didn't want. We wanted to get that out to give us access to level the floor and bring it up. So now the floor has been leveled and brought up to that line, as you can see right here. We're going to have to reseal the floor. This is where the trick comes in. Anybody can tear a piece of wood out. Putting the piece of wood back is where the trick is. Okay, here's the board we're going to put in here. But once again, we can't split it down the middle and put it back in. Tongue, groove. We can't put it flat in. Now those of you that are the brainiacs of the viewing audience can figure out what we need to do. We could cut off the tongue, slide it right in. Better than that, we cut off one bottom lip of the groove. Then the tongue maintains its strength integrity and the groove is on top, which makes the floor look like it's finished. So we cut off one little strip of the groove, the tongue slides in, the groove lays flat on top, and then we nail it. Any questions? Didn't think so. Now to cut this bottom lip off of the groove side, if you have a table saw, perfect. Set the blade up about that thick, push it through. If not, we're going to go back to our circular saw here. Unplug it. Now we're going to set the depth of the blade, just like we talked about before. You can see how deep I want it, right? It's not much. So that blade is going to go just below the surface of that groove, just below it. Lock it down. I'm going to run a line. I'm going to mark this so I can follow the line, obviously. If I'm off a little bit, it's okay. I just got to remove this lip is all I have to do. What I'm doing now is there's a little bit of lip left, so I'm just going to take a razor knife and just cut a little bit off, just take the edge off here. Okay, as you can see, I took the bottom of this female side or this groove side off. That's what it looked like before. 2 grooves, now 1 groove. So I can take the male end or the tongue end, slide it in, push it up tight, drop it down. That's how you do it, all right? Like I said, you can call a handyman or you can be a handyman. Your choice. My choice, be the handyman.